According to a report, Russia has found vast oil and gas reserves in the Antarctic, much of it in areas claimed by the United Kingdom.
A Chinese researcher stands at the edge of a drilling site in Antarctica, staring at his radiation detector. The needle is buried in the red zone. Lethal exposure. Behind him, 3 of his colleagues are dead. Not from the cold, not from equipment failure, from something that came up from beneath the ice. He has 12 hours to live, maybe less. But he has a hard drive in his frozen hands containing footage that will shake the world, if he can get it out before the blackout hits. Before the military arrives to bury everything. Before whatever they released finishes spreading through the ice. This isn't a story about climate change or scientific discovery. This is about something far older and far more dangerous that's been sleeping under 2 miles of ice for millions of years. And China just woke it up. In 2024, Chinese expeditions in Antarctica made discoveries that their government immediately classified at the highest security levels. Leaked documents and anonymous testimonies paint a picture so disturbing that multiple nations have quietly mobilized military resources to the region. What they found beneath the ice doesn't just challenge our understanding of Earth's history, it threatens our future. And the most terrifying part? According to seismic monitoring stations across the southern hemisphere, whatever was disturbed is still active, still growing, still spreading beneath the ice. What did China really discover in Antarctica? And why are governments around the world more terrified now than they were at the height of the Cold War? The oil that could start a war. Let's start with what they admit to finding. Oil. Massive, world-changing quantities of oil. In May 2024, Russia's Rosgeo, their largest geological exploration company, announced something that sent shockwaves through global energy markets. Their surveys revealed oil reserves beneath Antarctic ice containing an estimated 511 billion barrels. To put that in perspective, that's 10 times the total output of the North Sea over the past 50 years. 511 billion barrels. Enough to completely reshape global power structures. Enough to make Antarctica the most valuable piece of real estate on Earth. But here's the problem. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959 explicitly prohibits all oil drilling and resource exploitation on the continent. The treaty was designed to keep Antarctica as neutral scientific territory, untouched by the conflicts and greed that define the rest of our world. Yet Russia isn't the only nation conducting these seismic surveys. China has been running similar operations, and according to geopolitics professor Klaus Dodds, these aren't purely scientific missions. They're reconnaissance. They're mapping resources for future extraction. They're preparing for the day when the Antarctic Treaty either expires or is simply ignored. And that day might be coming sooner than anyone wants to admit. The area Russia surveyed overlaps with British Antarctic territory, which is also claimed by Argentina and Chile. If drilling begins, we're not just talking about environmental disaster. We're talking about potential military conflict over the last untapped resource reserve on Earth. But here's what the official reports aren't telling you. The oil isn't the real discovery. It's what they found while looking for the oil that has governments terrified. Because when you drill through 2 miles of ice looking for petroleum deposits, sometimes you find things that were supposed to stay buried forever. Life where nothing should survive. In 2024, New Zealand researchers drilling beneath the Ross Ice Shelf made a discovery that shouldn't be possible. They found an underground river, a massive flow of water that's been sealed beneath the ice for eons, completely cut off from sunlight, from oxygen, from everything that life supposedly needs. The water should have been sterile, dead, lifeless. Instead, they found hundreds of shrimp-like creatures called amphipods, swarming in the darkness. These weren't just a few scattered organisms barely clinging to existence. This was a thriving ecosystem, creatures that have been living and breeding in total darkness under crushing pressure for potentially millions of years. The water is rich in minerals and nutrients, creating an environment where life has flourished in conditions that were supposed to be impossible. Think about what this means. If life can thrive in complete darkness, under miles of ice, in freezing water with no connection to the surface world, where else could it be hiding? Could there be entire civilizations of life beneath the Antarctic ice that we've never detected? Could there be ecosystems on other planets, on Jupiter's moon Europa, on Saturn's Enceladus, where similar conditions exist. But here's what makes scientists uncomfortable. These creatures aren't like anything else on Earth. Their DNA shows signs of extreme isolation, of evolutionary paths that diverged from surface life millions of years ago. They're almost like an alien biosphere that evolved separately from the rest of our planet. And if one sealed ecosystem can exist beneath the ice, how many others are down there? What else is living in the dark, waiting to be disturbed? The Chinese expeditions weren't just drilling for oil. They were taking biological samples from these sealed environments. And according to leaked reports, what they brought to the surface was far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. The ice that sings. Deep within Antarctica's frozen expanse, something strange happens. The ice doesn't just sit in silence, it sings. The Ross Ice Shelf, the largest ice shelf in Antarctica, produces a constant, haunting melody. Scientists call them singing glaciers, and they're created when wind and seismic activity cause the ice to vibrate at specific frequencies, creating an eerie, low-frequency hum that can be detected by seismic sensors. It sounds beautiful, almost otherworldly. But here's the disturbing part. The song is changing. As climate change accelerates and the ice sheets begin to fracture and melt, the melody becomes more chaotic, more discordant. Scientists use these changes to monitor ice stability. When the song shifts dramatically, it means the ice is under stress, potentially approaching catastrophic collapse. But in 2024, monitoring stations detected something that didn't fit the normal patterns. The singing glaciers near several Chinese and Russian research sites began producing rhythmic pulses that weren't caused by wind or natural seismic activity. The pattern repeated every 42 minutes, like a heartbeat or a signal. Some researchers dismissed it as equipment malfunction. Others suggested it was caused by drilling operations. But the pattern persisted even after drilling stopped, even after the sites were abandoned. The ice is still singing, and the song sounds less like nature and more like a transmission. What could create such a regular rhythmic pulse beneath miles of solid ice? Is it geological? Technological? Or is it something else? Something responding to the disturbances on the surface, trying to communicate or warn us about what's waking up below? The structures that shouldn't exist. Satellite imagery of Antarctica has revealed something that has geologists and archaeologists in heated debate. Beneath the ice in East Antarctica, thermal imaging and ground-penetrating radar have detected perfectly symmetrical, geometric structures, formations that look less like natural geology and more like ancient architecture. One formation in particular has captured attention. A perfectly oval structure approximately 400 feet across, buried under layers of ice in one of the most remote regions of the continent. The shape is too precise, too symmetrical to be explained by normal geological processes. Could this be evidence of an ancient civilization that existed in Antarctica millions of years ago, when the continent was warm and ice-free? Some researchers point to the legend of Atlantis, Plato's account of an advanced civilization that vanished beneath the waves. But what if Atlantis didn't sink into the ocean? What if it was buried beneath ice instead? Antarctica wasn't always frozen. Millions of years ago, it had a temperate climate, forests, and possibly even complex ecosystems. Could an advanced civilization have thrived there before a catastrophic climate shift buried everything under miles of ice? The Chinese government has conducted extensive surveys of these anomalies, but they've refused to share their findings with the international scientific community. What did they discover beneath those geometric formations? Are they natural features created by wind and erosion, or are they remnants of something far older and more significant? And here's the chilling part. Some of these structures show thermal signatures, meaning they're warmer than the surrounding ice. Something beneath them is generating heat, even after being buried for millions of years. What could remain active for that long? What kind of technology or system could maintain itself beneath miles of ice for eons? The fungi that eat oil. In one of the strangest discoveries, scientists have found unique species of fungi thriving in Antarctica's frozen soil. Fungi that have adapted to survive in temperatures well below freezing, and, even more remarkably, fungi that feed on petroleum. These organisms can break down oil and other hydrocarbons, surviving in conditions that would kill most life forms. They don't need much water, can function in extreme cold, and have metabolic processes unlike anything seen in temperate climates. The discovery has massive implications for environmental cleanup. Imagine using these fungi to clean up oil spills, not just in Antarctica but worldwide. But it also raises disturbing questions. If these fungi evolved to feed on petroleum, does that mean there's been oil leaking in Antarctica for thousands or millions of years? Is there a natural source, or is it evidence of something else? Industrial activity, crash technology, or structures that use petroleum-based systems buried beneath the ice? Chinese research teams have been collecting samples of these fungi, and according to leaked reports, they've been experimenting with them in sealed laboratories. Why? What are they trying to learn from organisms that can survive and feed in such extreme conditions? And more importantly, what happens if these fungi escape containment and begin spreading beyond Antarctica? Could they disrupt ecosystems worldwide, or are they being studied for something more deliberate, bioweapons, terraforming research, or something even more classified? The reef that lives in darkness. In 2024, researchers exploring the Weddell Sea made an impossible discovery: a vibrant coral reef thriving beneath the ice at depths of over 100 meters, in cold, dark waters that should be completely lifeless. Coral reefs are supposed to need warm, clear, sunlit waters to survive. They're the rainforests of the ocean, dependent on photosynthesis and stable temperatures. Yet this reef has been growing for thousands of years in freezing darkness, fed by ocean currents and nutrients from the deep. The corals here are unlike anything found in tropical waters. They've adapted to survive without light, growing slowly but steadily in one of Earth's most hostile environments. The discovery proves that life can exist in conditions we thought were impossible, and raises profound questions about where else life might be hiding, both on Earth and beyond. But here's what's disturbing. This reef wasn't discovered by accident. Chinese and Russian research vessels have been conducting extensive surveys of the Antarctic seafloor, mapping areas that have never been explored before. They found this reef because they were specifically looking for hidden ecosystems in sealed environments. Why? What are they hoping to learn from life that thrives in isolation and darkness? Are they searching for biological compounds, studying adaptation mechanisms, or looking for something more specific, perhaps evidence of life that originated elsewhere and found its way to Earth? The Nazi mystery. This is where things get truly strange. During World War II, Nazi Germany conducted several expeditions to Antarctica, claiming a large region they named New Swabia. The official explanation was territorial exploration and resource mapping, but rumors have persisted for decades about secret bases and hidden facilities. After the war, there were reports of a large Allied military operation in Antarctica, Operation High Jump, which some believe was designed to find and destroy Nazi installations that survived the war. The operation involved thousands of troops and a naval task force, far more resources than would be needed for simple exploration. What were they really looking for? Fast forward to recent years, and ground-penetrating radar has detected unusual structures beneath the ice in regions the Nazis explored. Some of these structures show signs of artificial construction: chambers, tunnels, geometric layouts that don't match natural cave systems. The Chinese government has conducted extensive surveys in these same regions. Have they found evidence of Nazi installations? Are there still functional facilities buried beneath the ice, preserved by the extreme cold? And most disturbingly, some reports suggest these sites show signs of recent activity: power sources that are still generating heat, ventilation systems that appear to be functioning, structures that are warmer than the surrounding ice. If the Nazis built secret bases in Antarctica, who's been maintaining them for the past 80 years? The monster in the ice. This is the discovery that might be the most terrifying of all, and the one that governments are working hardest to suppress. According to leaked reports from Russian scientists at Vostok Outpost, a team drilling into a sealed subglacial lake encountered something they're calling Organism 46b, a massive squid-like creature with tentacles over 30 feet long, capable of killing and paralyzing its victims with venom. The creature allegedly attacked the research team, killing several scientists before the survivors managed to escape. According to their testimonies, the creature's severed limbs continued moving independently, as if each tentacle had its own nervous system and intelligence. The official explanation? Hallucinations caused by gas exposure or extreme stress. But photographs and tissue samples allegedly made it out before the site was locked down, and what they show is unlike any known species on Earth. Could this creature be a relic species that's been preserved in isolation for millions of years? Is it evidence of a separate evolutionary path that developed in sealed Antarctic lakes? Or is it something else, a bioengineered organism, a failed experiment, or something even more disturbing? Chinese research teams have been conducting similar deep ice drilling operations, and according to anonymous sources, they've encountered organisms that don't match any known taxonomy. The samples were immediately classified, and the scientists who collected them have been placed under strict non-disclosure agreements. What are they hiding? What else is living beneath the ice? And why are governments so determined to keep it secret? The signal that never stops. Here's what we know for certain. Since 2024, amateur radio operators across South America, Australia, and New Zealand have been detecting strange, rhythmic pulses coming from Antarctica. The signal repeats every 42 minutes, like clockwork, and it's been continuous for months. The frequency doesn't match any known natural phenomenon. It's too regular for geological activity, too specific for random electromagnetic interference. It sounds artificial, deliberate, like a beacon or a countdown. Multiple governments have sent military expeditions to Antarctica, not just scientific missions, but armed convoys with heavy equipment. They're not exploring, they're securing perimeters around specific sites, building containment structures, and establishing what look like military blockades. The Chinese government has been particularly aggressive, establishing restricted zones around several locations and refusing to allow independent verification of their activities. What are they protecting? Or what are they trying to contain? According to leaked satellite imagery, there are thermal anomalies at several sites, areas where the ice is measurably warmer than it should be, suggesting active heat sources buried beneath the surface. And these warm spots are growing, spreading slowly but steadily through the ice sheet. Whatever was disturbed isn't dormant anymore. It's active, it's spreading, and governments around the world are terrified of what happens when it reaches the surface. What this all means. Antarctica isn't the frozen, lifeless wasteland we've been taught to believe it is. It's a vault containing secrets about Earth's past, about life's resilience, and possibly about forces and civilizations that existed long before recorded history. China's discoveries in Antarctica, whether they're geological, biological, or something else entirely, have triggered a quiet international crisis. Nations that were enemies are now cooperating to establish containment protocols. Military resources are being diverted to the most remote place on Earth, and information is being suppressed at levels usually reserved for nuclear weapons programs. The question isn't just what China discovered. The question is, what's coming next? If the thermal anomalies continue spreading, if the mysterious signals keep broadcasting, if whatever's beneath the ice continues to wake up, what happens when it breaks through to the surface? Are we prepared for the implications? And more importantly, can we stop it? The ice is melting faster than ever due to climate change. The barriers that have kept these secrets sealed for millions of years are breaking down. Whether through deliberate human drilling or natural warming, Antarctica is opening up. And we might not like what we find inside. What do you think is really happening in Antarctica? Is this evidence of ancient civilizations, secret government projects, or something far stranger? Share your theories in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because if these leaks are real, we're only seeing the beginning of what's coming to light from beneath the ice.